Hello Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Blue version. Yeah, I'll give a short intro this time. In the last episode, we explored everything there was to do around Viridian City and its surrounding areas, and in this episode, we're going to be continuing to explore areas that are surrounding Viridian City, but not in the effort of trying to see everything around the city, but in the effort of trying to get away from the city. Between episodes, I went ahead and filled in the Pokedex a bit. I went ahead and caught Pidgey, Rattata, Spearow, Nidoran female, and Nidoran male. Didn't take too long. Nidoran male and Spearow were definitely kind of annoying to find, but the rest of them weren't too bad. We'll take a look at their dex entries. Pidgey is a common sight in forests and woods. It flaps its wings at ground level to kick up blinding sand. Rattata bites anything when it attacks. Small and very quick, it is a common sight in many places. Very true, unfortunately. Spearow is the tiny bird Pokemon. It eats bugs in grassy areas. It has to flap its short wings at high speed to stay airborne. Most birds do that, actually. Nidoran female, poison pin Pokemon. Although small, its venomous barbs render this Pokemon dangerous. The female has smaller horns. It doesn't have any horns, according to that sprite. And Nidoran male stiffens its ears to sense danger. The larger its horns, the more powerful its secreted venom. I'm not going to be going over the Pokedex entries for every Pokemon as I catch them, because between episodes there's going to be some times where I'm catching like 10 to 20 Pokemon, but in this instance it's only 5 of them, and I want to show that we actually have a full party, and also I accidentally pressed B when it asked if I wanted to nickname Nidoran male, so we have Rattata, Gapid, Safri, which is a reference to an old friend's Let's Play of Pokemon Yellow, Nidoran male, and Jack. Because Jack's Spearow. It's really funny. This is where I'm going to show the Pokemon storage system. With Draw Pokemon, we can't do anything because there's no Pokemon in the PC, but Deposit Pokemon, we can deposit any Pokemon we like into the PC, and for now, I'm going to deposit everything except for Haket, because we aren't going to be evolving any of these guys yet, and even when we are evolving them, there's going to be a lot of off-screen evolutions too. As you could see during that little montage I did, I went ahead and recorded catching every Pokemon, and that's probably what I'm going to do for the remainder of the series. You can see the change box button here. It will save your data automatically whenever you change the box, but each box can hold only 20 Pokemon. If you catch a Pokemon and the box is full, it doesn't automatically go to box number 2, so you need to remember that you need to switch the boxes when you fill one up. We have 5 Pokemon in box 1 so far. We'll have to remember to switch it to box 2 once we've caught 20. I'll find some place to leave a note for myself about that, because I'm gonna forget this multiple times and it will suck. With all that said, there's nothing else for us to do here. We've explored Viridian City to the fullest extent possible, so let's head north. What does this say? Trainer tips. Catch Pokemon and expand your collection. The more you have, the easier it is to fight. It's not wrong. Anyway, actually heading on now. Route 2, Viridian City to Pewter City. And if we just head up here, we can see that there's some tall grass, but we aren't going to be going over the encounters here just yet, because everything that can appear out here can also appear in the next area. That was a short route, we've already made it! Welcome to Pewter City. After this gate, I guess. Are you going to Viridian Forest? Be careful, it's a natural maze. And Rattata may be small, but its bite is wicked. Did you get one? A bite or a Rattata? Because I got both. Pewter City is a jungle. Well, you know what they say about New York. Just kidding. This is Trainer Tips. That's the name of the area. Welcome to Viridian Forest, obviously. You can see on the sidebar. I came here with some friends. They're out for Pokemon fights. Awesome. I'm not going in their direction. So there's a few items I want to pick up before I start going over all the Pokemon that can appear here, but well, hello Metapod, you are not what I wanted to see this early in the morning. I say this early in the morning, but it actually just past noon. I've gotta say, it feels so good to be recording again. This Let's Play had the longest break between finishing the last one and starting this one, and it's just so good to be back. I love recording. I love making Let's Plays so much, but the last one I was really demotivated and I had a lot going on. I still have a lot going on in life, but things are calming down a little and it's just easier to Just sort of speak and not have a filter. For poison, use antidote. Get it at Pokemon Marts. True, I should have probably picked up a few of those, but since we're playing blue version, we don't need to be as worried about poison. Trainer tips, if you want to avoid battles, stay away from grassy areas. We also don't need to be afraid of poison because our only Pokemon is Bulbasaur and it can't be poisoned by Poison Sting. I ran out of Pokeballs to catch Pokemon with. You should carry extras. What I mean by what I just said is, if a move has a secondary effect, such as Poison Sting having a chance to poison, that secondary effect cannot go off on a Pokemon that is the same type of the move. So, there's a move called Body Slam. It's a normal type move with a chance to paralyze. It can't be used to paralyze normal type Pokemon. That's the most important example of this for actually, so, yeah. It's our first trainer battle that isn't our rival. He just has a Weedle. That's pretty rare in Pokemon Blue, so, I mean, I'm not gonna judge. It says Poison Sting is not very effective. That's because it is only going off of Bulbasaur's second type. It's actually neutrally effective. That's a glitch in this game that I don't even think was fixed in Pokemon Yellow. Caterpie. If this thing had any Bug-type moves, it would be scary, but it doesn't, so it's not. Caterpie is one of the weakest Pokemon, but I guess we'll go over that soon. I just, like... I don't know. There's a very specific point where I want to go over the bios in Viridian Forest, and it is not while I am fighting a level 6 Caterpie from a bug catcher. There we go. No! Caterpie can't cut it! True, it can't learn cut. He has a point. Shh! You'll scare the bugs away! Oh, sorry, man. I'll be quieter in the future. Okay, so, there is actually a path through Viridian Forest that guarantees that you will not find any wild Pokemon whatsoever on your journey through. There's little grass tiles that appear as if they've been trampled on and they just go down in a straight line. If you walk in those grass tiles specifically, wild Pokemon will not appear, giving you a straight path through most of the forest without any encounters. I don't really want to do that. I realize I just skipped a trainer, but yeah, that's fine. In fact, I'll actually go back for him, and while I do, let's start going over the Pokemon that can appear in Viridian Forest. Found much more commonly in Blue version, it's Caterpie. Caterpie is pathetic. It only learns Tackle and String Shot through level up and can't use them well at all. To make up for this though, it evolves at only level 7 into another Pokemon we can find here, Metapod. Metapod is pathetic. It only learns Harden through level up if caught as a Metapod, and honestly, you're not even missing out on much if you go through the effort of evolving a Caterpie to get one. String Shot could potentially be helpful, but not so helpful that I'd really recommend catching one over the other. Metapod makes up for its weakness by evolving incredibly early at level 10 into Butterfree, but we'll go into more detail on that later. The more common counterpart in Red version, Weedle. Weedle is slightly better than Caterpie because it starts with Poison Sting instead of Tackle. The weak base power of Poison Sting isn't really done any huge favors by the same type attack bonus, but it does have the added benefit of being able to poison. Otherwise, same deal as Caterpie. Kakuna is awful. Same deal as Metapod, it only learns Harden through level up, but unlike Metapod, I would actually recommend training a Weedle to evolve into Kakuna for the access to Poison Sting. The only saving grace here is that Kakuna evolves at level 10 into Beedrill. We'll be talking about Beedrill here, just because you can only encounter it by evolving a Kakuna. Beedrill is pretty clearly awful, with Bug and Poison being an awful defensive type, and Beedrill not having the stats or the move pool to even be helpful during the first gym. However, Beedrill does have the distinct honor of being one of only 2 Bug-type Pokemon in all of Generation 1 to learn a damaging Bug-type move. The first of these moves is Twinneedle, a 25 power move that hits 2 times with a 20% chance of poisoning the opponent. This is, for what it's worth, objectively the best Bug-type move in the game, being a consistent move that's effectively 50 base power, and one of only 2 moves in the game that can hit Psychic types for super effective damage. The other move is Pin Missile at level 30, a 14 power, 85% accurate move that has the chance to do better damage if it hits all 5 times. Overall, even this one small niche isn't enough to save Beedrill, and I can't in good conscience recommend it for any team. Last but not least, Pikachu. I said pretty much everything there is to be said about Pikachu when we talked about it in Pokemon Yellow. The main difference here is that it doesn't learn Thunderbolt through level up in Red and Blue. One major difference, though, is that it can evolve in Red and Blue, but that won't be until about halfway through the game. We'll talk more about this later. Alright, those bios done. We're pretty much nearing the end of Viridian Forest already. It's amazing how much I've memorized this, because this area really did used to get me lost as a kid. It is a natural maze. No stealing a Pokemon from other trainers. Catch only wild Pokemon. That's true. If you try to throw a Pokeball at a trainer's Pokemon, they'll knock it away and say, "Don't be a thief." In front of this bug catcher, there's a potion. Sure, nothing will ever make me feel guilty for taking that. Okay? This is a unique instance that could be used to perform a glitch if I had a certain item, but I don't have a certain item, so that's fine. It's rare that a wild Pokemon actually appears on the same tile as a trainer, so yeah. Hey, wait up, what's the hurry, is what this bug catcher said. Trainers don't have unique names in Generation 1, which makes them not less memorable, because there's a lot of iconic trainers in Generation 1, but in a way, yeah, less memorable. Like, I don't know, I just don't really find this kid memorable. No offense to him and his Weedle, but like, I always remember What's the Hurry, but I remember it as What's the Hurry, Why the Rush, and I think that's from a different Pokemon game. I give. You're good at this. Alright, what do you have to say? Sometimes you can find stuff on the ground. I'm looking for the stuff I dropped. I won't tell him if you won't. We both looked at the camera for that, so that makes me think he was listening too. Before we leave, there is one Pokemon that I absolutely want to catch on camera, so well, I say on camera as if I'm not going to record myself catching all these things anyway, but there's one I want to catch before we actually leave the forest, so I'm gonna look for that real quick. There it is. Right on cue. Caterpie. I want to go ahead and catch one. This is going to be a temporary team member. I try to avoid using temporary team members too much unless they're like Lillipups to have the pickup ability and sit in the back, but Caterpie is just a Pokemon I like a lot, and I think it has a lot of use in the early game, so it's worth picking one up. Its short feet are tipped with suction pads that enable it to tirelessly climb slopes and walls. I will give a nickname to it. The nickname I want to give Caterpie will hopefully fit within the character limit. Margarine. Its final evolution is Butterfree, and I just think Margarine is kind of a cute name for a Butterfree. And now, I will cut ahead to when Margarine is evolving, because I will spare you the pain of needing to watch this entire grinding process. While I was grinding, I actually encountered Pikachu, which is the rarest Pokemon that can appear here. And while I'm looking at its sprite and trying to catch it, I just want to say, Pikachu is tied for my favorite Pokemon, and I'm fucking sick of people acting like it's not the mascot for a reason. It's fucking adorable, and if you are saying you don't like Pikachu, that's just because it's the mascot. This is a peak fucking Pokemon design. It's even better in Generation 1 when he's a little chubby like this, but my god, just the peak of Pokemon design. No wonder he's the mascot. He is the best thing ever. Pikachu is the mouse Pokemon. When several of these Pokemon gather, their electricity could build and cause lightning storms. So it's worth noting Weedle does win the matchup against Caterpie on a 1v1, just because Poison is super effective on Bug in Generation 1. That Margarine nearly just lost to a Weedle. After entirely too much grinding, Margarine is evolving. Margarine is evolved into Metapod. Now to grind it into its final evolution. I need to go back to restore all of its moves PP. I genuinely would not recommend grinding here. I'm just doing it so we can go over the last bio in the area at the same time as obtaining the Pokemon. Okay. It's probably been about... I'm gonna be honest, I've been using speed up. It's probably only been like 10 minutes, but still. Finally, Margarine is evolving. Margarine evolved into Butterfree. Butterfree has been saved for last because, as far as early game bug types go, Butterfree has by far the most going for it. At level 12, Butterfree will learn the move Confusion. This is a 50 power psychic type move with a 10% chance to confuse the opponent, a status that adds a 50% chance the opponent will just straight up attack itself with a 40 base power typeless attack. The only way to cure confusion in Generation 1 is by using Haze, which very few Pokemon learn, by switching out, which very few opponents do, or by just waiting for it to end naturally after a few turns. It's not necessarily a reliable status effect, but it adds to the move that already makes Butterfree so damn strong in the early game. If you started with Charmander in Red and Blue, Butterfree is damn near a must-have for the first gym, and that's not even going into the fact that it gets access to Poison Powder, Stun Spore, and Sleep Powder super early on, allowing it to spread almost any status condition it damn well pleases, with the only caveat being that all 3 moves are only 75% accurate. Having to grind the 2 extra levels for everything in Red and Blue sucks, but especially in the early game, it's well worth it. Welcome to the team, Margarine. I just love Butterfree. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. It has been ever since I was a kid because of the anime. And you better believe that I cried in the anime when it was time to say bye-bye to Butterfree. Anyway, I will cut ahead to when I'm at the end of the forest again. Just 2 steps from the exit. I was so close to getting to the exit with no encounters. Okay, Margarine. It's time for you to destroy your child. If that's your child, that was fast, actually, because you were just a cocoon. Alright. This old man has a unique sprite that we haven't seen yet.
Have you noticed the bushes on the roadside? They can be cut down by a special Pokémon move.
Well, I don't have that move. Many Pokemon live only in forests and caves. You need to look everywhere to get different kinds. He has a point. He looks like he's more important than he is, but that might just be... I don't know. It's a Game Boy Pokemon sprite. Welcome back to Route 2. It's just separated by a giant forest, and... now... welcome to Pewter City. We're gonna head straight into the Pokemon Center. And heal up, because we took a bit of a beating in that forest. What do you have to say?
Oh my god. Okay. Made it through Rainforest. Whatever. See you guys next time.